So, I did not get this advertisement, but it apparently is an advertisement that has been playing on other people's YouTubes. They're logging into YouTube, sometimes watching my content, and they're getting this advert. And it's called "When Gender Identity Wins, Females Lose." Now, that already sounds kind of silly, and the aesthetics of the actual video remind me of a PragerU video. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and get to the fan art section, where there's just a little bit of sanity before we get into the insanity. So this one is from Karam, and it does not seem to have any context given, pretty much at all. But I actually really, really like this. This is like me innocently looking at someone, just like, hey, what you doing? Please don't tell me you're being cringe in there. That's my job. I really like it. So thank you very much, Karamba, for the fan art. And as always, everyone, if you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the Discord channel, where I will be able to see it and put it up in videos. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into it, and we'll roll the intro. Aha! You fool! You're watching this live! There is no intro! But if you're on YouTube, there was. Okay, when gender identity wins, females lose. Let's go ahead and begin this with Dreams of an Absolution playing in the background. Let's go!
Male and female, two sexes with equal dignity and equal rights under the law.
Cool.
We take it for granted. For a very long time, laws against sex discrimination have protected female safety and rights and opened up a world of infinite opportunities in
We're not wrong yet.
education, politics, work, the creative arts, and sports.
Okay.
Until now. Across the country, in our language, our laws, and our relationships.
Oh?
In schools, businesses, and on social media. A concept called gender identity has bullied its way on stage.
So, gender identity has been part of the conversation since the 50s. It is certainly more popular now, but that's been a conversation for a very long time. In fact, actually, there's even academic writing on gender identity that I can pull up from the 80s for you, if you want, from Don Zimmerman and Candace West. But, you know, it's definitely a recent phenomenon. Bullying female rights.
Pushing females and our sex-based rights out the door. New laws and policies based on gender identity are undoing decades of progress.
How so? So first of all, Saris Wolfhime, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an ada. You fucking monster. But I could just point out right now, also thank you very much for the follow, Humalidin, I think. But yeah, my question is, how is it undoing progress? I need to know. Because, like, what actual rights of women are oh, I'm sorry. What rights of females are being taken and stripped away by accepting broader categories of gender? Please explain. Just go.
By changing our language, undermining our rights, stealing our opportunities.
Undermining your rights and stealing your opportunities. None of your rights have been undermined. As for stealing your opportunities, all right, bish. Let's so here's the thing. I'm cis. I identify as male, but I am using a female avatar on Twitch. So, what that tells me is that I am apparently stealing opportunities from someone who is a cis female. Apparently, right? Like, somebody, if they wanted their big titty streamer, they could have gone to somebody who was using a face cam, and I have stolen that opportunity from them. No? Does that sound stupid? Good, because it is. Nobody's stealing anybody's opportunities.
And threatening our safety.
Nobody's threatening your safety either, but I bet it has to do with bathroom bills.
The plain fact is that gender identity erases females.
No, it really doesn't.
In language and law.
It doesn't.
Now, you might be thinking, what exactly is gender identity?
I'm not thinking that. I know what gender identity is, but, you know, go ahead and explain it to me.
Gender identity is a label, a fancy-sounding term that describes how individuals perceive themselves and what they call themselves.
A fancy-sounding term. Lady, all words are fancy-sounding terms for other things. That is how words work. Words are descriptive.
Psychologists define gender identity as a person's deeply felt sense of being a boy or a girl, a man or a woman, male or female, or something else.
Yeah, because some people are non-binary. What of it?
Regardless of the person's sex.
Yeah, and because it's regardless of the person's sex, that's the reason why it's not erasing anything.
Regardless of whether their sexed body is biologically male or female.
Yep.
Gender identity is part of an ideological belief system.
Ideological. What the fuck is this idiot? So, here's the thing. Idea, not idia. Idea, not idia. Not idia. I understand that there's actually a point here that I need to respond to, but whenever somebody says ideological, my brain just goes, are you meaning to call it idiotic? Is that what you were trying to go for? But instead, no. Ideological. Ideas.
Called gender ideology.
Gender ideology.
Claims that each individual has the right to self-determine an identity, regardless of sex.
Yeah. Everybody has the right to determine what they are. No fucking complaints here.
That they have the right to modify the body in order to express those identity feelings.
Yeah, no, 110% base. You want a 9-foot schlong? Go get a fucking 9-foot schlong. You want to go and get, like, triple D gigantic booba. You want to out booba my 3D character model. Do it. Fucking do it. If you've got the wherewithal, if you have the means, go. Nothing wrong with that. Explain to me how somebody having the right to modify their body hurts you. Also, does anybody else notice this is literally just discount Prager U? Like, this is literally just discount Prager U right now. Holy shit. Hey, I got one eye to close. But not when I'm talking. What?
And that they have the right to demand that others affirm this personal gender identity.
Yeah, if you change your name, you have the right to ask other people to call you by the name you changed your name to. If somebody calls you shitface and you don't want to be called shitface, you do have the right to tell them, hey, please don't call me shitface. The pronouns shit is literally just an extension of that.
Even when it contradicts biological reality. This is a false anthropology, a distorted understanding of the human person.
No, it's really not. It has nothing to do with anthropology, first of all. Secondly, it's not a distorted understanding. It may be a more recent understanding compared to what you're used to. Also, auspicious link. Thank you very much for the follow. But yeah, even if it's a more recent understanding, it is not a distorted one. Her pronouns are shit face. Oh my god.
So here's the truth. The human person is male or female. We cannot change sex.
Nobody's trying to. I'm sorry. Aussie girl, thank you very much for the follow. Nobody's trying to change sex, ma'am. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to go in with a scalpel and like draw another line in the Y chromosome to make it an X. Nobody's fucking trying to do that. If you are even using that to determine sex, there's like 5 fucking factors we use. We have the way you represent yourself via your gametes. We have the way you represent yourself via your genitalia. The way you represent yourself via your gonads. The way your phenotypical representation is. And also the way you represent yourself where your chromosomes are concerned. Nobody's trying to go in with a laser and fucking fix that shit. This is a category error. We are saying that there is an idea called gender identity that is distinct and unique from sex.
Ever. Biology defines sex as the organization of the body towards a reproductive role.
Okay.
So each person, created male or female, has a body that's designed to produce either sperm or eggs.
Yeah, that is the gametal representation. That is how your gametes are structured. This has nothing to do with gender. Like, you can talk about biology all you want. You can keep on doing it all you want. But it's a category error, because we're not talking about biology. We are talking about a socially constructed class of descriptors, gender, and not biology.
Our male or female identity is written in every cell of the body. It cannot change. Even if something goes wrong in the body's development or if the person is infertile, the facts don't change. There are only two sexes, male and female.
I just don't give a shit. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about gender.
And it's impossible to change sex. But gender identity ideology ignores science and defies biology.
Gender identity ideology. You are aware that, like, sociology is, in fact, a science? And it's through sociology that we've determined that gender is socially constructed? Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to sit down and go study the materials again.
It elevates a personal narrative about who I am to the status of being a protected characteristic under the law.
What? What? What does that have to do with science? What?
Gender activists tell young people to know your truth and don't let other people direct your own narrative.
Yeah, because other people cannot tell you whether you're a boy or a girl. You get to do that.
Because only you know who you are.
That's
but it's
correct.
Not that simple.
Yes, it is.
A person's self-perception, their gender identity feelings, can't change reality.
How is somebody... Okay, so nobody's saying that your feelings are changing reality. Those feelings, that self-identification, that is literally the determinant factor. This is, again, this is less a category error now, more a scope error. Your gender identity, that thing, it is an immutable characteristic, but it is yours, and other people cannot tell you what it is. This is why gender dysphoria exists. This is why gender euphoria exists. These things exist because the reality of identification is there. Irregardless of its social construction, we have other socially constructed things, like money. Like our shared concept of time. These are socially constructed things that are no less useful in their ability to provide us ways to maneuver around society. Literally all of language is socially constructed. Gender being socially constructed is a perfectly reasonable thing. Nobody's saying feelings are changing reality. Those feelings literally are the reality here. I'm sad. No, you're not. Your feelings don't change reality. No, the reality is that I'm sad, Karen. Shut the fuck up.
And it's deeply unfair when our language no longer recognizes the truth that we are male or female.
Language is not supposed to recognize truth or false. Language literally only has one job, and that is to be a medium through which we communicate. That's it. That's all it is. Language doesn't give a fuck about truth or false. All it is a medium by which I say a thing to you. Lunar Muse, I will say irregardless as many times as I want, specifically to upset people who hate that word. I know there's at least 10 people typing in the comment section right now over on YouTube about my use of that word, and I will continue to do it. You can't stop me. I have the power.
Language needs to be grounded in reality. I'm not a birthing person. I'm a mother.
Okay, cool. Nobody said you're not a mother. You can be both a birthing person and a mother. You are remember, here's the thing, here's the problem. Here's the actual problem that's happening here. The actual problem here is that you are thinking of language as a prescriptive mechanism. You are thinking of language as something that is innate, unchangeable, immute. Language is a descriptive thing. So if I say, you're a birthing person, and you say, no, I'm a mother, do you know what I do? I go, okay, cool, you're a mother. And then we move on to there. Because the only thing that matters is that when I communicate an idea to you, you understand it. That's the job of language. That is the job of language. The entire purpose of it is that I can get an idea across to you effectively. If there's an aspect of my language that is a barrier for you, then I can modify that because language is fluid, language is flexible, that's what it does. Would you like to know the extension of that flexibility for language? If I meet a trans person who identifies as female, then I can call them a girl. If I meet somebody who does not identify, they don't feel male, they don't feel female, they don't even know what that concept is, then I can go, cool, then you're non-binary. Neat. They, them. The giant umbrella descriptor that saves everybody from being a fucking transphobe immediately upon using it. It is so simple. So easy. I'm gonna make a fucking a video. Just like, have you guys seen that video where it's like the uses of the of fuck? Like the wonderfulness of the fuck word? All the different ways in which you can use it. I'm gonna make that video again, but for they, them. All the myriad of ways in which it can be used to avoid being a fucking idiot. Jesus.
I don't identify as female. I am female.
Yeah. It is both, though. You identify as female and you are female. That is how that works. Now, if you want to be pedantic, then we can say that female is a biological category, and therefore you don't identify as female, but you do identify as a woman. If we want to be really pedantic, we can do that. But we don't have to. Because we don't have to engage in pedantry. We can literally just communicate with one another as human beings with working brains that have brain cells that are actually functioning. That's a thing we can do.
And there's something else. When gender identity is privileged over biological sex, females lose. It's that simple.
How so? Okay, let me explain something. If all females, quote, have a right to X, and then we extend the right to X to all people who identify as female. More people getting rights did not make you lose rights. That's like saying that when white women have a right to something, and then black women get the right to it too, that the rights of the white women are being stripped away. The funny thing is, if you look at clippings from 50 years ago, that exact argument was made. Actually, I think it was more like 60 years ago. Point is, during the civil rights movement, that exact argument was made repeatedly, that when egalitarianism was presented to people who already enjoyed privilege, it was seen as stripping rights away from the people who enjoyed those privileges. Like, when we give more rights to more people, that does not make people lose rights. There's just more rights being given.
Because sex does matter.
Yeah, it does. But not to this.
Only females go through female puberty, get pregnant, give birth, and go through menopause.
Wait, only females go through female puberty?
Never look a tulip in the eye.
Does anybody want to tell her about HRT? Does anyone want to tell her about HRT? Hold on. Who didn't tell this woman before she got on and voiced this script? Who didn't tell her about hormone therapy? Who didn't? Yes, trans people get a second puberty. Miralana, thank you very much for the follow. What? Oh my god. Also, periods are not the thing that make you a woman. Shut the fuck up. Menopause is a thing. But, more importantly, like most importantly here in this conversation, ma'am, female puberties are not just had by people who are AFAB. They are had by people who go through HRT. Oh my fuck.
That's biology, and no one can self-define into or out of biological reality. Biology also makes females uniquely vulnerable when safety and privacy are compromised. 9 out of 10 victims of sexual assault are female.
Yeah? And did you know that trans women also have a higher rate of sexual assault that happens to them? Especially in places like bathrooms? Boy, howdy.
When gender identity policies in public schools and businesses give biological males the right to access private spaces like restrooms, locker rooms, and dress.
There it is. There it is. Ma'am, I'm going to say something really triggering. And I sincerely hope you understand the context in which I'm saying this. If someone wants to rape you, a law saying they can't go into a particular bathroom isn't stopping them. I hate to be the one that I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. But the law does not stop rapists. It doesn't. Rape's already illegal. Assaulting people in dressing rooms, locker rooms, and restrooms is already illegal. Indecent exposure is already illegal. Restricting trans people from entering the spaces where they are more comfortable does not change that fact, that reality. So you're telling me that if I were to go grab a content creator who I do look up to, if I were to grab freaking Riley Roshong, who has gone through surgery, who looks for every ounce female, every single ounce of the way, there is no mistaking it, and you're telling me that that person, with, by all accounts, a female body, should be in the men's room. Really? No. Abso-fucking-lutely not. There is no reason they should force themselves to go there. Also, statistically, when trans people find themselves in the restrooms that they do not identify with, because typically they are actually showcasing or trying to pass, the likelihood that they will be assaulted in those spaces goes up. Because they are already marginalized. Those spaces become hostile to them when they go in. People who make this argument inadvertently just endanger trans people.
Dressing rooms, simply because those males identify as girls or women, then every female is at risk.
No, they're not.
Under gender identity policies...
Let me also explain something. If you've ever been in a woman's bathroom, there are not stalls. Or rather, there are only stalls. There are not urinals. There are only stalls. So, trans woman walks into that bathroom. They sit down in the stall. They fry their chicken in the stall. They pop out. Nobody's none the wiser. Nobody gained any information that they were trans. There was no way they could have told. None. That's it. That's it. But this girl does not like that, apparently. Just fucking continue.
He's from California to New York. Single-sex spaces reserved for females. Places like shelters for female victims of...
Oh, yeah, no, JacandQuil, you are correct. There have been cis women who've been thrown out of bathrooms because of this shit. Like, a cis woman goes into a female bathroom, and they look more masculine, either because they've got PCOS, or because they just look less traditionally attractive than other people. And they get thrown out because of prejudice like this, even though that's the space that they're supposed to be able to be into. Literally, all people like this woman do is they create an environment where the world is more hostile towards minority groups and inadvertently becomes more hostile towards the people who are angry at those minority groups as well. Eep?
Domestic violence, or hospital rooms in female-only wards, or even cells in a woman's prison. Any male who...
Do you want to know what happens when you put a trans woman in a male prison? Lots of sexual assault. Lots of sexual assault happens to the trans person. That's not a good thing, ma'am.
Claims a self-defined gender identity as a woman is allowed in. In schools and universities, males who identify as girls and women must be permitted to join and compete on girls' athletic teams.
Yep, and even the Olympics allows this after 1 year of HRT. Because after 1 year of HRT, the biological benefit to being born male is almost non-existent. After 1 year of HRT, which I think that is a perfectly reasonable... One, I just don't give a fuck about sports. I don't. But two, if I did give a fuck about sports, then my argument would be after 1 year of HRT, yes, they should be allowed to compete on those athletic teams. Period. Whether this is somebody who is on puberty blockers currently, and therefore has not experienced a male puberty, and therefore have not gained the benefits of the explosions of testosterone running through their body, or they've been on a year of hormone therapy so that that everything is being combated basically with estrogen. At those points, I would argue, and even the fucking committees for the Olympics argue, that any benefits they have biologically are minimal and not enough to be considered. But go off. You must be an expert in this, over and above the people whose actual job it is to make these decisions.
All because of gender identity. This means females lose out. They lose their spots on the team, their championship victories, their scholarship opportunities.
So trans women should not be allowed to have any of these spots on the team, championships, or scholarship opportunities. This argument actually is trans women should not be allowed to be on sports teams, they should not be allowed to engage in championships, and they should not be allowed to get scholarships for sports. That's what it is. That's what this argument is. Now, there's a couple of counters to it. One, I just don't give a fuck. Two, the actual, like, real argument here is that this is why education should be free. This argument doesn't fucking work if education is free. If you don't need a scholarship to get an education in the United States, then this argument loses all of its bite. Because at that point, it turns into spots on a team or ability to participate in championships, and you cannot convince me that your game is more important than somebody's actual identity, which is a thing that people commit suicide over. You can't. I'm sorry.
They're all sacrificed on the altar of gender identity.
Yep. Just right on the altar of the storm. Sacrifice it, Thrall will come right back. Anyway, Shark Fox Panda, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an oh well.
Laws and policies that privilege gender identity over biological sex send a clear message to all females that our feelings, our privacy and safety don't matter.
So your feelings already didn't matter. You actually made the argument earlier in the video that feelings were a non-starter. So if you want your feelings to matter, they don't. I'm sorry. You made the argument that the feelings of the individual do not matter when it comes to gender identity. So far be it from me to give a shit about your feelings right now. I just can't. I can't care. Because you made the argument, you wrote yourself into the corner where your feelings no longer matter. As for your privacy is not affected. Again, if you are in a public locker room, you do not have privacy anyway. You've already walked into an area where your privacy is null in comparison of where it is. If you're in a public shower, your privacy is already null. It doesn't matter if the person who's watching you happens to have genitalia or chromosomes that you don't know about. Hell, it could be somebody who's intersex, who has the genitalia and the phenotypical representation that you would deem as acceptable, but inside, their chromosomal structure is not the one that you expect. But you'd have no way of knowing. As for your safety is not affected. If somebody wants to hurt you, they're going to hurt you. You cannot make a law that suddenly makes it to where a rapist will not do that. That doesn't work.
Gender identity laws and policies also send another message to all Americans. The reality doesn't matter either.
No, it does. The reality is their gender does not match the biology that you're trying to argue for, and this is, again, why we have concepts like gender dysphoria and gender euphoria. That's not the message that's being sent here, Karen.
That the truth about who we are as human persons, male or female, that doesn't matter either.
Also, it's funny, Hermit, you said PragerU always has a smug look on their face. This isn't PragerU. I know it looks like they just yanked their entire aesthetic look from PragerU, but this isn't a PragerU video. Surprisingly. This got sent to me because it was an advertisement that somebody else got on one of my videos, but it's not PragerU.
But that's a lie. The truth is sex cannot change. The human person is male or female, and we can express our personalities and interests in many different ways.
Yeah, so why are you telling trans people they shouldn't?
Without denying that truth.
Well, then why are you denying their truth?
Let's face the facts. Let's speak the truth. We're male or female forever.
Okay, again, so there's two ways to tackle this statement. Point one, if you are saying male and female, as in our biology, as in like our chromosomes, our gametal structure, sure, but that's a category error from gender identity, so it's a non-argument. But if you're trying to argue that we are male or female in terms of identification forever, then you've committed a scope error instead of a category error, because there are people who exist outside of your scope and actually do identify differently than what they were assigned at birth. Either way, you're committing a fallacy. It doesn't matter which way I try to steelman this argument, it's fallacious either way. And I understand that that really sucks to come to terms with, but far be it from me, the anime character sitting in the middle of a Legend of Zelda dungeon, to be the one to tell you that. But, yeah, that's where we happen to be. Welcome to the dungeon, where ideas go to die.
When gender identity is privileged over biological sex, females lose.
No, they don't, because females also have a gender identity of female. Therefore, they categorically are also protected under all of the protections that protect them if they protect females. That they don't lose anything. More people getting more rights does not make you lose rights. Rights are not a finite resource. Rights are not cookies. People getting cookies does not make you have less cookies.
And when our laws and policies and language deny the truth about who we are, male and female, we all lose. So let's embrace the truth. We are male or female, two sexes with equal dignity and equal rights.
Category error, again.
Under the law. And that's something to celebrate. I'm Mary Hassan from the Ethics and Public Policy Center for Edify.
Okay, what is Edify? We gotta find out what the fuck Edify is. Because this feels like it's just discount PragerU. Edify, is this it, or is this different? That looks like the same thing. Edify connects businesses with customers. Okay, so we're gonna take a random guess. Edify conservative. Is that it? No. God, I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't. Shark Fox Panda, thank you very much for gifting a tier 1 sub and resubscribing as well. But I think we're going to have to actually take a look later and see what the fuck Edify is. Let's take a look at their page here. That'll maybe help. Why Amazon erased my book? Okay. Seeing the world as a Catholic? Oh, I think I know what we're stepping into. Edify the beginning about. Let's take a look here. A Catholic vote initiative spreading the truths of the faith and the foundational values of America. Oh boy, howdy, we found it. I think I figured out where their bias is coming from. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's PragerU 2.0, but instead of Judeo-Christian values, it's Catholic Christian values. We got ourselves a sussy baka. Hey, Edify. You kind of smell. Kind of smell like a baka. Aaron Yeager. Anyways. Fucking found it. Oh my god. It was we had no idea when we walked in, but now we know. Jeebus. Don't spoil AOT. Ari, it's a meme. It's a TikTok meme. Nobody spoiled Attack on Titan. Jeebus. Anyways. Okay, guys. I need to know, now that we're back in the dungeon, how do you feel? I want to know in the comment section. How you doing? I, kind of regret life. A lot of choices. A lot of the things I feel right now have to do with not enjoying their content. But I guess we'll have to watch more of their content now. Because I have chosen a career that involves nothing but suffering. At least we have boobs. Anyways, as always, everyone, if you want to support the channel and what I do, please consider going in the description, heading over to Patreon, heading over to PayPal, or going to the merch store and getting the OWO Wars merch that has been done by YaraKoro, if you would like to. With that said, though, if you would like to follow over on Twitch, where all these videos are actually made live, that would be a wonderful thing to do. But if you haven't subscribed over on YouTube already, please consider doing so. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and as always, everyone, don't smell like a baka. Insert end of video tagline here. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. If you want access to behind-the-scenes content for the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon. I do weekly vlogs over there, where I give real-life updates to what's going on behind the scenes on the channel, stuff that you don't really get over here, and even on Twitch. Patreon also helps the channel's stability a whole lot. Without Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. Especially with the kind of content that I do, neither YouTube nor Twitch are the most stable sources of income. If you are a $20 and up patron, then you will be featured on the ending slides as shown in the beginning of the end credits. If you want to catch the streams where all this content comes from, then consider heading over to Twitch and following. And if you want to continue watching over here on YouTube, maybe consider clicking one of the end screen videos. And once again, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me over on my channel. I wouldn't be able to do literally anything that I'm doing over here on YouTube without each and every one of you. So, thank you.